Our guest today is the amazing Dawn Whitelaw. Hello, Dawn.
Hello.
Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from On Track Studios in Franklin, Tennessee, just right outside Nashville.
All right. And do you live in Franklin as well?
I live in Brentwood, which is next to Franklin, but it's just all runs together. I think I'm 7 miles from my home. So it's a nice commute.
So what's that like having a studio in a completely separate area? Do you ever, when you're at home, have the hankering to paint, and how do you deal with that? Do you go back to the studio? What do you do?
I had a studio at home for many years, and what happened was I was always at work,
Yeah.
always, and eventually my studio stuff took over the house. So now I'm here, and when I go home, I'm at home, and it's better for me. It's better for my husband. It's just a good thing. And I really didn't think I would like having a studio away from home, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we were having that same discussion here the other day because I'm at our lake place in upstate New York, and I'm in the game room, which I've kind of taken over now because the kids are not here, and so I started setting up my easels and so on in the back of the room, and then I thought, no, I work in this room all day. I don't want to paint in the same room, so I'm trying to figure out. I have to paint outdoors. It's my only option right now, but. Uh, Anyway, that's not so bad. It's a luxury problem.
It's not so bad as long as you get to
Yeah.
paint.
So, what are you going to talk about today?
Well, I thought what I would do is do what I call a grocery bag sketch. I did a video with you doing a painting from a grocery bag sketch, which is my normal practice, but I really didn't go into exactly a lot of the things about the grocery bag sketch itself. So, and it's quick, and I just thought I would run through that process. I got the idea for these from Scott Christensen,
Ah,
who was doing them. And my friend Pam Paget took his class and came and told me about it and gave me one of the little sketchbooks. And I just, once I started doing these, it's just kind of opened up new doors and made my painting more fun. And I'm really enjoying it. So I'm hoping to share that with some people today.
well, I would imagine also you don't have this sense of feeling like you're spoiling good materials when you're experimenting.
Exactly. It's just, if I'm not trying to talk through the process, it takes me about 15 minutes, maybe 20 to do one indoors or outdoors. And it's just a time to explore and experiment and just feels very free. I was on a little outdoor painting 2 or 3 day trip, and I think I did 19 of these little sketches. And if I had done regular plein air paintings, I probably would have gotten 6 or 7 maybe. So
Right.
I have all this material. I'm just pretty excited about it.
Now, Dawn has got her uh, her scene set up, and she's got her palette out there. Dawn, are you there?
I'm here. I'm trying to keep my head out of the shot. So
Okay, well, what I'm
I'm
going to do is I'm going to put you on full screen here, and
okay.
you now can see that if you want to move the camera a little bit to one side or the other, it might work a little better for you, and also
No.
know that if you want to get a little closer, you can, because it's a little hard to see your brown paper.
Okay. So Eric, we can't zoom in from here, and you can't zoom in for there. So our only option is to move the camera a little closer. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing you? Okay.
yeah,
We'll
that's
try
correct.
that. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to, if not, that'd be all right.
Give it a try. So, my friend and painter Andrea Jones is here helping me today. Andrea works for me 2 days a week and works for some other artists too. And if you want to up your production, I recommend you hire somebody because it's a game changer.
What kind of things do you ask Andrea to do to help?
You don't have enough time. The cameraman today is new. We've just added that. But she stretches canvas. It just keeps up with a million things. photographs, paintings, it stretches, I can't, it's too much, Eric. It's too much. But it's wonderful. It's freed me up for 16 hours. I can be at the easel. Best business decision I made. So let me see if I can explain what's going on here. I printed out my reference. I don't really want to work from a print, but it was just easier to set it up this way. I'm actually looking at a monitor you can't see, and here's my little brown paper. This particular brown paper came from Michael's, and I just 3-punched it and keep it a little notebook and palette here. So it's drawn on here, and I couldn't figure out how to draw it and not be right in front of it. So anyway, I just sketched it out in pencil, and that was so awkward. I couldn't do it. I had to be right in front of it to draw it. So I just have a simple line drawing, which I probably won't even stick to, but it's a place to start. Eric, do you have a question before I start putting paint on this, or?
Okay, so you normally would do this on brown paper bags, but now you've just gotten brown paper. It's essentially the same effect, right?
Yeah, and I have stacks of little brown paper sketchbooks. This is just some paper I found at a craft store, and it's the thing about this paper is its middle value. So what this allows me to do is I can quickly either drop in my lights or my darks and let the paper stand for the middle. And I just find that's so helpful in designing. So I'm going to drop in the lights. If you're working on white, that's a little difficult.
What kind of white are you using? And also, it looks like you're not using any medium. Is that right?
No, thank you. No medium, no solvent, just paint. What happens is this paper is really absorbent. And this paint sets up so quickly, you can go right on top of it. And it's just quick and pretty delightful.
And one thing, since there's a lot of people out there who are maybe novices or this is all new to them, you never will put anything pure white on a painting. Is that correct? You always put a little color in it, or is there ever a time when you'll use pure white?
I may have, but I generally don't. I think it's much better not to. You just throw a little color into it. So I'm putting a fair amount of paint on here. So this big light shape, I'm just kind of putting in as one tone now. And I can go back and adjust it. So I'm kind of looking at it, and it's kind of an interesting shape. And I have a smaller light here in the water. So I'm going to take the same pile of paint and adjust it. I would like to not repeat exactly the same color.
Can you talk about reflections? Because there are theories about reflections in terms of, are they darker, are they lighter?
No, I can't talk about that. I'm sorry.
Right.
There are a lot of theories, and they're good, but I am just, I rely on my observation of being out there and see what I see. But I can safely say this, that the sky and that reflection won't be the same value. More than likely, the reflection will be darker. You threw me for a loop there. Mm-hmm.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I'll just tell you if I can't do it. So there's a tiny little light in here. So this paper is my guide. I put down this light, and it's almost the value of the paper. So I'm going to lighten it up so it reads as light. If I put something down that doesn't read as light on this paper, I know I'm in trouble. I need to change it. So basically that's the major lights. So I'm going to let my paper stand for the middle. So I'm going to put in the darks. So I'm just grabbing a different brush.
So would you point out to somebody who's viewing this on the photograph, what would you consider to be the middle values?
It would be this piece of light, this distant mountain, and this whole ground plane, our
All right.
middle. The darks are here and here. Um,
Now, when you're out there doing a plein air painting or when you're in the studio painting, are you also doing direct painting with no solvent or no medium?
yeah, I am. There's so many different ways to paint and to approach painting. But in the way I like to work, I do better with just paint. I use the solvent to clean my brushes. And the paints I have are creamy, so I really don't need any medium. So I'm mixing my darks here, and if you can see on my palette, it's not terribly dark.
Yeah. What kind of paint are you using?
All of these paints are from Blue Ridge Paints, which is a paint made in Asheville, North Carolina, and I like it just because it's very creamy. I don't have to add anything to it. So I'm going to test this value. See how dark it looks there compared to what it looks like on my palette.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide. These are big dark shapes. They're not dark accents. So I'm going to mix my darks just a little deeper than my palette. And I'm just, for now, going to use one tone to block these in. I can go back in and adjust. Okay, so I can go right over that sky. This is, you see that? I'm hardly picking up. I put a lot of paint on there, but it's already absorbed into the paper.
Really? That's unusual.
Yeah. Well,
I guess it's because of the brown paper.
yeah, because it's absorbent. It almost, I don't know, it acts a little bit like gouache does, but not exactly. But I think that this value seems about right. Now I can have some variations in the color. I just want to get my values down quickly. So that's a big dark. There's a little tiny dark right there. And then there's this dark over here. Now I'm calling it a dark, but if you see it on my palette, it's really about a mid value. But for this painting, I feel like that is going to give me the look I want.
Now, I can't tell from the photograph, but you've got the two masses of trees, one on the left and the one on the right. Is the one on the right further back, or if it were, would you use the same value? Would you lighten it? Would you blue it? What would you typically do?
All of those things will come into play, but not yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is get the big shapes in.
Yeah, so now that leaves everything else, which is the middle value. I'm just checking to see if I left out any dark or if I want to change the shape. So Eric, if I pull this one down a little bit, then it's a little clear that it's in front of the other one. So I know that my middle values are going to be close to the value of the paper. So I want to start with this lit piece. And the temptation is to make that very white, white and bright. But I'm going to go for a really strong color. Okay, now I've just mixed some yellow and orange. I'm just checking the value here. It's pretty close to the paper. And I'm going to, the color is actually a green. I didn't start with green. I started with my other two colors, the yellow and the orange, and I just threw a little green in it. So
can you speak to the idea of what you're seeing in the photograph versus what you're laying down, and why you do that?
I think what you're seeing in the photograph that it's a little greener than I have.
Well, it's, the thing about photographs is they tend to go, the shadows go really dark.
Yeah.
The lights tend to get blown out. And I don't see in the photograph, I'm not seeing that golden afternoon light, but it might be there. But you're
It,
putting
it,
it in because that's what you ultimately want the
it,
field to
it
be. Is that
it's
right?
exactly, and I'm not only wanting to feel like that. It's kind of the main thing of interest to me in this painting. So right now I'm overstating that warmth, and I've never. I'd rather have the feeling than a perfect match.
I just saw you do something else, and I'm just curious about it. You left a little of that dark edge in on the green on the right of that
Yeah,
mask. Was that to separate it, or
it was shape management. I just like as I said, I do the drawing, but then I'm pretty much not going to stay in the lines, unfortunately. I kind of each piece I put in, I think about its edge and its shape, and so I'm doing a little editing. Even the people, this is seen near Easton, Connecticut, and the people that live there will recognize it, even though I edited the tree a little bit. So I'm just going to wipe this brush off. I'm not going to dip it in solvent, and I'm going to put
and
in
why
these.
is that? Why not clean it out completely?
Well, number one, there's no need to, but more importantly is the fact that once I get solvent in here, it messes with the viscosity of the paint. It it muddies the color. It just the paint. If you just wipe it out, it just does so much better.
And you can wipe it out enough that it's not going to pollute your next color because you're putting in a pretty pure purple.
Yeah, I am. So I'm mixing this side by side because I want them to be close in value. And that piece in the, I think I should go a little lighter, just a whisper. I'm trying to match the value of the paper a little bit. And I'm not making this maybe as chromatic as I feel it is in my reference because I want that golden piece to stand out.
Right.
So I think maybe this might be an explanation. I'm more interested in what the scene felt like than exactly what it looks like. I have very distinct memory of what it felt like. I'm going to pull that up a little lighter. I'm still in the middle value range.
How much plein air painting do you do, Dawn?
Well, this year I haven't done very much, but I did go. Well, I plein air painted yesterday
Okay.
and the day before, but it's something I love to do. It's very important to me.
Would you tell people why you think plein air painting is important if they've never done it?
Well, I had no intention of doing it. I just was interested in painting people, and my teacher, Everett Kistler, when I asked him how could I be a better portrait painter, and he said, "Get out and paint the landscape." And I didn't do it for a long time, but once I did, it just changed everything.
Can
You you learn you have to respond quickly to what's there. You have to make a quick decision. I mean, the whole thing's changing. Um, so you learn to read a scene or a person, and it just it speeds up your thinking.
well, you also you see shape and form differently
Yeah.
than you would from a photograph, even though you might be painting a live model. What do you think are the things that you learned from Kinsler that really stuck out in to you over the years?
To go for the effect, to get it quickly, to do your homework. Uh, there's so many things, but the things I was not expecting to hear from him are the things that I think have meant the most. He said, you have to study your subject like an actor studying their lines. You have to learn the character of what you're painting, person, place, or thing. Now I'm beginning to get a feeling here of what I'm after, not the particulars at all. I am not, see, I'm pulling I'm pulling all that together. Now I can break it apart. Um, I'm going to go in and change the sky a little bit. I'm going to make it a little less yellow. I'm going to introduce something different. I don't know if this is, I'm mixing a sort of a pinkish color. Maybe not exactly what I want. Let me try. This is a purple. Yeah, this is going to be better. I just want to knock that yellow back a little bit because this yellow is very chromatic, but I really want that light on the tree to really command attention.
It's amazing how much difference that makes.
You know, is it accurate? Well, you certainly can't tell the color of the sky from a photograph, but I remember standing there, and this effect, you know, maybe lasted 6 minutes. And I remember that the color on the tree was the piece of chroma, and everything else was sort of in service to that. And so
So how do you
that is,
train your memory like that?
that's what plein air painting does for you. And I know that if I stand there for a minute and think about and talk myself through, how does this feel? What am I seeing here? What am I painting? It's not just a pretty scene. What does it feel like? Well, I got there before the sun came up, and then all of a sudden, you know, that thing happened. And I just stopped and looked at it and gawked at it. It was just beautiful, and knew I didn't have a chance to paint it that quickly standing there. And so I just stood in reverence and watched it happen. You know, the light finally comes all the way down that tree. So now I'm going to just work on this little piece a little bit. I thought I could afford to go a tiny bit lighter, and I'm going to see if I can tip it a little bit toward green. Now, I'm making a judgment on this whole thing, how it looks, before
Right.
I address any particulars. And so since I'm not in a place I can scoot back and forward very gracefully here, I'm just sort of squinting my eyes. And once I'm comfortable with that, I can move forward and make some other decisions. I
You're
think I
just
want to,
changing brushes now, right?
yeah, I've got a light, medium, and dark brush, and good luck on me keeping that. But right now, I'm doing pretty good. So that sort of feels like it. Now, what other information am I going to need when I try to make this into a painting? Well, I think I'm going to need something a little darker to make this feel as luminous as it felt. So I'm going to mix something just a little darker. I'm mixing it into my old dark. And just, this is not a dark accent, slightly darker piece within this dark. I will get to some darker accents probably next. This just creates a tiny bit of form in those trees. There again, I'm really squinting down and reducing my vision. Okay, now let's see how, where would I put a dark accent? On my palette, this is something really dark, and I have it next to this dark I just put in. There's a big difference.
Is this your normal palette?
Yeah.
And so what is, can you just quickly go through and tell us what your colors are?
Yeah. Let me figure out where to put this dark accent, and I
Okay.
will.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. I think that may be a place that can bear it, and maybe here.
What a
So
difference. What a difference that makes.
yeah, and it sort of lights everything up. So I'm going to just continue to work on these forms, but I can talk about my palette. I've got titanium white, which is kind of standard. And next to that, in the brand I use, it's cadmium yellow medium, but it's just sort of a Crayola yellow. And it's going to be different any brand you get. And the process I'm showing you is not really palette dependent in any way. This is just what I happen to use. The next color over is an orange that I mix with mostly yellow and a little bit of the red. And the red is a little different because it's a synthetic red. It's Pyrrol, Pyrol.
Somebody
And
asked
then
what a dark exit means.
just that. It is a piece that's darker than anything else, and it's usually small, and it sort of gives your painting like it makes these darks look more luminous instead of heavy. If I had painted this whole tree as dark as that dark accent, it wouldn't have the feeling of airiness that it has.
That's
And
fascinating. I've never heard that.
you are kidding.
Never heard
Um,
it.
okay,
Where have
look
I
at
been? I need to hang out with you more often.
well, just pull out your book of Sargent's watercolors, and he has these beautiful calligraphy, dark accents that Scott Christensen would say that the dark accents help your eye move through the painting, and they do that. But they also sort of explain the key. So, Eric, kind of tell me how we're doing on time here.
Oh, we are just fine. You got 15 minutes if you need it.
Oh, okay. Then I will just explain a little more of this, what I'm going to do now. Now, there it is. It has the effect. It has the effect. But I'm going to need more information than this when I actually do the painting. So now I'm going to come in and refine some of these shapes. I want this transition, I'll try to explain what I'm doing. I want this transition here to be a little softer. There's something about how the paint soaks into this paper that makes these little adjustments so easy. I painted over out of my line a little bit. Okay, I got my dark accent instead of the dark. I find that somehow people have not separated the idea of a dark accent from a dark in their head. And it's a pretty powerful thing if you can separate those two. Think about the dark accent as opposite of a highlight. Does that help make any sense?
Yeah.
You understand a highlight?
Yeah, you put your highlights on last in theory, and you put your dark accents on last. Yes? No?
Yeah, kind of. Last sort of. You put them on when you need them, but it's the same idea.
You are such a good teacher.
I did that for a long time. I taught at a university for 35 years, and those kids taught me how to paint. I hope that some of them learned something, but I learned a tremendous amount from them because I had to, they wouldn't just do what I said. They had those annoying why questions. So I had to figure out why. And 11:40. Yeah. So
You've got
here's
such a light touch, which is really fun to see.
Well, a lot of that is because of this surface. I've done enough of these. I sort of have a feeling for it, but it's so much fun. I am really putting on a good bit of paint. Now I'm just playing with color. Once I have that value set, and I'm mixing my new color next to the old color so I can get the value correct. I hope that makes sense. So if you look on my palette in here,
Yeah.
Oops, I got the darks in there. It's really this thing. Um,
Yeah.
and
So
it
if you
kind of,
squint down, yeah, I can see the difference.
how, that's a very helpful thing. So now I need some green, and my green is pretty dark when it comes to, I didn't finish the palette. I'll do that in just a second. I got too excited about what I was doing here. I can just slip this green right over there. And there seems to be a little bit here on the tops of those forms. And I'm going to need a little, there's a little different color in here that I will need for the larger painting. So my practice is just to paint from this little sketch and not look at the photograph.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It
man.
just, so what's scary about that? Think about it.
Well, there's nothing scary about it.
Well, then, well, you had a reaction.
Well, I mean, I think it's, I don't
Tell
know.
me what you're thinking.
Well,
What would you?
because I think that if I were doing a larger studio painting, I probably would put more detail in, and the photograph is showing me the detail that I'm not seeing in the sketch.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Eric, and I just believe this. There is my mind and your mind. They're wonderful things. They retain so much more. But as long as you have that photo reference, your brain is going to kind of check out and say, I don't need to remember anything. She's got that photo. And the
Yeah.
minute you take that photograph away, your fabulous brain kicks in your heart and soul, and you start to remember standing there that morning, and you remember that it was cool, and you remember you had to watch out for the poison ivy on in here, and you remember how it took your breath away when that light hit that tree.
Yeah.
And your heart and soul don't kick in and don't do that as long as you've got the photograph. You're worried about different things if you have the photograph in front of you. And for me, and I can only speak for me, I had rather tap into what I felt.
Well, I will tell you that I stopped painting from photographs. I only paint from studies. I'm not doing brown bag studies like these. I'll go out and do plein air studies.
Yeah,
But I now cannot paint from a photograph.
yeah.
It feels empty to me. So the fact that you're actually showing me how you do it here is helpful, because then I could convert my photographs to studies and then use them.
Well, to paint from plein air sketches,
Yeah.
that's a great thing. Button 44. But the thing is that this scene didn't last long enough for me to get that sketch, and
Right.
so I guess this little study is a interim step for me to process the information and
Well, you
figure
can't
out.
always get a sketch, and especially if
Yeah,
you're doing something like sunset or something, and there's no way you can get a photograph to capture what
no,
you're seeing and feeling at a sunset or a sunrise.
no, not at all. And so this is, I guess, been a filter, a way I can connect back with what I felt when I was there. And
So as,
you'll shock yourself at what you remember. You really
so as I
will.
look at what you've painted here, I think the problem I would have if I were painting that scene in plein air, my tendency would be to just put in what you've got there instead of putting in the base of the dark and then building on top of it. How do you train yourself to do that?
I think by doing these,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that seems like a silly answer, but I think it's true. There's this little thing is so tiny that I can't put in anything except what's really important to me. I mean, I really can't. Now, let's say that I had a very complicated structure in this that I just couldn't get the details in here. And if I needed to look at the photograph for that, but this is what I would make myself do. I would look at the photograph, but it would not be anywhere near my painting. I would go look at the photograph in the next room or in the other side of my studio. And so I don't get into comparison. I just go into that photograph and mine information. Oh yeah, okay. I might do a little sketch, but I have set myself free from that comparison thing, which for me can be deadly. So at this point, I've about got the information I think I would need. I can do, actually, I'm going to do a larger painting from this. And I feel like I have what I want, what I need. I see one more little piece I'm going to lighten. So if someone is a beginning painter, it might not be, they might not have the years of plein air painting under their belt so that they have that memory of what things are outside, and so they might not be able to take this and translate it into a larger painting. But this is just a great way to learn. I think Kevin McPherson said, do 100 little paintings before you, and that will get you started on the path. Well, 100 of these would go very quickly.
Yeah, but it's great experience. Would you, when you're done, would you or your helper there post a close-up photograph of that study
Yep. Yeah,
in the
I'm done.
comments section on here, for people to be able to see? That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm gonna have her do that. And Eric, if we have time, I'm just gonna let her pan around the studio, if that's okay.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got about 5 minutes, so we can do that.
Okay,
Sure.
Andrew, there's just about 5 minutes, so if you can get in closer.
How about you guys? This is thumbs up for Dawn. What a fabulous demo. Wow, you can really see more when you're closer.
Yeah, and I'm looking at both of the little study looks a little darker
Will you,
on my screen, but
will
you
you
get the
finish
idea.
finish telling us your colors real quick? So
Yes. So, Andrew, if you want to back up and just start panning maybe there. So I had, and next to my red, I think that's where I got stuck. I have a purple that I make out of the red and ultramarine blue, then ultramarine blue, and then a green I make from the yellow and the blue, about half and half. Then I have transparent red oxide and Prussian blue, which I didn't touch, but they're there.
how do you use
So
the Prussian?
Prussian,
Yeah, how do you
I'm
use that?
I'm just scared of phthalo, and it gives me a blue-green option.
Uh-huh.
So the building I'm in houses 6 artists. Let's see, Andrea, let me flip the light on. That's going to be a little dark, maybe. Okay, now go back around to where the paintings are. So this is the room I paint in, but we have a big storage area and teaching
Hey,
space.
just stop there for a second, Andrea, because we want to just see this beautiful work. Wow. Just wow.
Well, that's just what's going on. You can't see the top row, but that's okay. You get an idea. There's portrait studies, plein air, landscapes. There's a portrait commission. Andrew, go back and see. You can see a little of it in the corner, bottom right.
Are the two
And
kids in the water?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to get mailed out today.
Oh,
And
cool.
a couple of little plein air pieces and drawing and stuff. Okay.
So if somebody wants to, if somebody wants to purchase one of your paintings, or if they want to commission you to do a painting, they just go to your website, dawnwhitelaw.com?
Yeah, yes, okay, you want to go that way. Yeah, the galleries and representatives are listed there. And also my email address is there if you have a question for me for what we did today. Okay, go on back around and get on the sketch and then I'll see if you can. It's just the funniest thing here. Okay, see how close you can just get to the sketch.
I like your easel brush clip.
Yeah, oh yeah. It works great for these. If I'm doing something bigger, it doesn't quite hold all the brushes I need, but I use it a whole lot. It's got paint all over it.
I guess I need to come up with a bigger version.
Well, then it might not be so convenient, but
Yeah. Well, the whole idea for me was that the brushes that I used the most, I wanted them right there where I could grab them and see them. And that's why I did that, because I oftentimes have, 8 or 10 brushes out, but I'm only using some of those on occasion. And I would spend all my time sorting through and looking for
Yeah.
the brushes.
Yeah. Well, let me just say again, any questions about the palette or the process or any of the materials, if you go to my website, you can email me from there, and Andy or I will answer you. One of us
Okay, I'm
will.
going to show. I'm going to show real quickly. Maybe you can get back on camera in the
Yeah.
meantime. I'm going to show real quickly. This is the painting that Dawn is going to do on video today at 3 p.m. You can see her at Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Streamline Art Video, and that's at 3 p.m. Eastern today. And so you get a chance to see some of that. Dawn, what did you do in that video? Tell us just briefly what you did on this one called Sketchscapes.
I took a little grocery bag study just like I did here, and I did a painting from it. Now, in the video, you see the reference just so you can see what I'm painting, but I painted it from the little sketch, and it's just my normal procedure.
There's the
And
reference photo.
yeah, it doesn't look
Yeah.
anything like the painting, does it?
No, and it's really fabulous. Well, this has been delightful. Dawn, just real briefly, you're very involved in Portrait Society. You're an officer. Can you just tell people about Portrait Society and its value as an organization so they might consider joining?
Well, it's just a great place to connect with painters who primarily are doing portraits and figurative work. A lot of our members, I hate to give you a number, but it's thousands of members, 3 to 5, I don't know, I should know. A lot of them are doing commission work. A lot of them just enjoy painting portraits, but it's just a great way to connect. It's a nonprofit, and we've got a staff of 2.5, and I'm excited about our mission.
Yeah, well, you should be. It's a great organization, and
Thank you.
you should be applauded for all your efforts there. I know that you've done a lot for them. Well, I want to thank you for being on today. Do you have any final thoughts before we drop off?
Yeah, just grab a piece of brown paper and give it a try.
Yeah. Okay. So that's everybody's assignment for today, is to do that. Grab a piece of brown paper and give it a try. I'm certainly going to do it. I'm going to go find some grocery bags or something, and you can't do it on plastic grocery bags. I figured that out.
No, and the cloth ones. But you've got some brown paper somewhere in your life. You can
Oh
find
yes,
it.
I do. I have lots of it. And somebody just posted in the comments where you can get rolls and rolls of acid-free paper very
Absolutely.
inexpensively. So you guys visit dawnwhitelaw.com. I'll put that up again one more time if I can find it. dawnwhitelaw.com, and you can find everything there. And of course, today at 3 p.m., we'll be offering the video, and we have a discount on the video the day that we show it. So this is an opportunity for you to own it. And Dawn, thank you so much for being on today. You're a legend, and I'm honored